you do these skills analysis, right? Like, okay, what am I really good at? Okay, I'm really good at these things, but of these things, what do I really enjoy doing? And once you get to, like your zone of genius, right? That's another great book. So once you get to like your zone of genius, you realize it's beneficial not only for you, but for your audience as well.
Take this mind of mine.
What's up and what's happening, TPE fam? We're back with another episode. As you guys can see, we have a special guest here, someone who is from Houston, Texas, and you guys have been hearing me talk about, and several other leaders in the space talk about collaboration and connection and networking and really getting outside of your comfort zone as it relates to the people that you interact with, the people that you want to be in your circle. And it's really all about getting around people who are thinking the same as you, who are pursuing a higher level of passion or a higher level of dream, or just want to do better for themselves as a whole. And so just listening to Dr. Eric Thomas in his newest book, talking about getting into miracle territory. We heard that the Social Proof podcast was coming to Houston, Texas, and I follow David Shands on. I mean, some of you guys probably out there listen to David Shands and listen to his work, and just to have the opportunity to see him in person was pretty cool. So my wife and I went to the pod in Houston. Fantastic time. But one of the things they emphasized during that time we were together, it was about connecting with the people in the room, because if you made the investment to be in the room, that is a signal that you might have something, everybody in the room could offer somebody something in some mutual form, and it's not all about what you can get from a person. Is how can we advance together? You have an audience and some insight. We can share those things and grow and exponentially. In 2023, we want to focus on collaboration, and this is an attempt of doing so. And so I want to welcome to the Pivot Experience, the TPE, Miss Janie, and I'm going to let Janie just tell us all about who she is, where she comes from, where she's at right now, and just talk about her journey in her business. What's up, Janie? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on. Thank you so much for reaching out and creating this space. I'm a consultant. I know I kind of chatted with you a little bit whenever we met at the pod and also at the VIP. So I'm Janie. I'm a consultant. I file LLCs for busy entrepreneurs, and I create business plans for busy entrepreneurs. Like that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Awesome. So, tell me a little bit. How did you get into this? How did you get started doing this? What did you do before this? How did we get to this point?
Sure. So we got here by a lot of people picking my brains. And truthfully, my best friend bought me a book in 2014. It's by Steve Harvey, Act Like a Success, Think Like a Success. And that's probably the first book that I did, I read not for pleasure. I do enjoy reading, but I read like for pleasure mostly. And so when I read that book, it kind of like turned something on. During that space, I was working in youth development. I was running nonprofit programs like after school, summer camp, uh, kids, families. And I just kept climbing the ladder, and you get to the business side of that work, right? It's still in the field of youth development, but I got to the business side and I was like, dang, I like this. Like, I love the numbers. I love admin. So I just started like, niche. I know we say it. I know it's like overkill, but it's so true. Like I just kept going down and down and down and down. So I figured out what part of business am I really good at and what part of business do I enjoy helping others. Because sometimes we're good at stuff that we don't enjoy doing. So
Yeah, I guess sometimes I look at things like your gifts kind of manifest in ways that you didn't imagine them showing up. Like how did you know that you would enjoy the administrative side of business through your work through a nonprofit? You know what I mean? Like, so is it sometimes I think when you answer the call of doing the right thing, you get a chance to see, those things come to light. So that's pretty cool. So so you said you got this book in 2014. So how long have you been in business in this capacity? And what's the name of your business? Where can we, if we needed this service, how could we get to that business? Let's get some of that on the front end and on the back end too. But
sure. So Power Consulting is the name of my business. Power consulting.org and at Real Power Consulting on Instagram. I'm on Facebook as well, more active on Instagram. But we got to this space, I think, through self development. You keep on reading those books. It starts with the Steve Harvey book and then it moves to, Big Magic. And it moves like these are some of the books that kind of led the way for me. And I think as I continue to read it, you do these skills analysis, right? Like, okay, what am I really good at? Okay, I'm really good at these things, but of these things, what do I really enjoy doing? And once you get to, like your zone of genius, right? That's another great book. So once you get to like your zone of genius, you realize it's beneficial not only for you, but for your audience as well. And a lot of times we operate in our zone of excellence, which is just right under our zone of genius. So in my zone of excellence, that was me in youth development. That was me pouring into like on the front end. I mean, I'm sweating, I'm throwing, I'm putting the activities together and I'm in the activities. And then I had to realize like I could do more if I stepped back, if I wrote grants for these programs, if I developed business plans to get funding, then I could do even more for the families and the communities that I serve. And then I could just kind of pop in. And then when I get hot, I could pop out, but I'm not responsible for a group. I'm not responsible, I'm not in ratio. So man, that was a journey, and it was something figuring it out.
Well, I mean, I definitely can hear how you kind of had a methodical climb in this journey, and I guess sometimes hearing you speak of the different phases that you've interacted in the same entity, but being able to scratch, multiple itches. It's kind of cool to be able to start out maybe at the ground level in a place and work your way through to see like how did your work at the ground level impact what's going on at the top level, quote unquote, in terms of the administrative side of things and stuff like that. Like having those full circle moments, I think are moments we can appreciate along the journey. So that's awesome. So I kind of just want to touch on just you when I'm imagining you are helping people open businesses in all kinds of different categories and all kinds of different ways. And do you see any like common problems that most new business owners are facing, and like how are they working through those things? How are they getting, past those barriers? And what are the common threads? Just for somebody who's out there listening who may want to get into a business, I'm always of the mindset you don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel. And so if there's some things that some hurdles that you can help them, kind of bypass before they get there, what are those?
The very first hurdle is like seriously getting out of your way, like getting out of your way mentally and then doing the work physically. So once you decide I am going to open this business, you open it. Like even if you can't afford to file your LLC, you go to your Secretary of State and you reserve the name, right? You start building the plan. I think the number one thing that I see is people just get stuck and kind of like analysis paralysis, or, paralysis analysis, however we say it. But I think they just get stuck and they won't make a move. And then once you show them like, you don't have to know every single part. You just got to know this block. And then once you get halfway through this block, then you can start forecasting what the next block looks like. So I would just say get out of the way and move.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I think a lot of people, because I have a debate with this conversation. I think social media has made it to where we need to feel like we have to be ready. Like social media made it feel like, when you first drop that product offering, it has to be perfect. The marketing has to be perfect because you see
Mm-hmm.
the ratio of people who are succeeding that you see these days is so much higher. It just looks like it's easier, but no, those people are putting in the work. You didn't see them until they kind of learned how to get past their failures. And so no, that was very, very timely advice. And I think there are a lot of people out there who are waiting to get to their genius level. I forget how you said it. I think you had a great phrase there from a book, but waiting to get to that genius level, but they are the ones that are stopping themselves. And so no, that's cool. So do you have any experience around this an area of maybe helping a business owner determine whether they have a home run product or not? Like, have you ever been trying to open? Well, this might be a stretch of a question here. Have you ever helped somebody and as you were helping them, you was like, "Hey, girl, I don't know. You sure you want to do this? Tell me how did you get to this point and wanting to do this? Do you ever have those? I mean, I don't know if you act in a like a consultant's posture, but do you ever feel the need to intervene, or how would you go about telling somebody they got a good product or not?
So I think kind of like to unpack the question, it's a yes and no to your question. Like I have seen some things that could work. Like the way they say it, sometimes it's like, okay, hold on, let's dial it back. Let's start right here. And then we can get there. But I really feel like people can accomplish anything they desire to do. So even if they came to me with something that was like so huge and just it felt like unreal, I would still tell them you should do it and you can do it, but we got to lay out like how that's going to look, how that can actually happen.
Yeah, I guess that really speaks to your service of writing a business plan. So, like, do you, is that something that a lot of people come to you for originally, or do you find yourself like kind of following them into that service once they start to talk to you about just the LLC formation, or is it vice versa? Like, do they want to come to you for the business plan? And I'm sorry, I'm kind of deviating from the script here, but do they come to you for which one do you see yourself like upselling? And I don't know if you want to call it that or not, but do you find yourself getting that add-on sale from the fact of okay, we preach LLC, that's a buzzword, right? And so
Yeah.
everybody's running to that, but then do you find yourself saying like, okay, this is a funnel opportunity because hey, do you have a business plan? It sounds like what you're doing is ambitious, and I know you can do it, but do you have a do you have a plan of action of being able to do so? And if you do use that as a funnel, can you talk through like what do you do? What's your technique, or just like what's your mindset behind it, if that's the case?
So I don't use it as a funnel or like an upsell yet. So if
Okay.
anyone who is watching this wants to help me get started with funnels, please, because I know there is an opportunity to kind of clean up my operations. But I'm really doing the things that I'm advising other people to do, which is right now I'm just niching down. A lot of people come to me for consulting. So it starts off really, really big, and I just tell them how to do it. Like, I don't gatekeep at all. I just tell them exactly how to do it. Now, if you want me to do something, it has to be within the scope of the things that I provide. So right now I offer group coaching. So you can come in, you can get group coaching, you can get consulting on Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Ask those questions, pick my brain. Let's, go through the layers of your business. If you want me like done for you business plan, then that is the service I provide. And then the LLC filing, like incorporating a business, whether that's nonprofit or for profit, that's an actual service that I provide. But kind of some of the funnel type of things I haven't really taken advantage of yet, just because I have one focus right now, which is business plans. Like let's master these business plans.
Okay, no, I just like I said, I just thought that might be just a way of doing it. It's like okay, you come from me for this, but then but most of your people are already coming to you for in a consulting standpoint, so it kind of I think it just naturally flows, and that's how you could roll it in there. So that's pretty cool. So what are some when you're hypothetically speaking, let's say we're talking about a business plan here, and I'm asking for some light advice, some free advice, right? I'm asking for some free advice, and so what would be some core things that you would say every business plan needs to have? Like, what are some staples? Like, you got to consider this, you got to consider that.
The most important thing you're going to start with, what is the challenge or the solution you want to provide? Are you going to provide that via a product or a service or both? You want to consider your buyer persona. That's very, very, very important. Like to know your audience, to know their buying habits, to know their pain points, to know what do they even need you for. So I think when I'm developing a business plan, that's probably the part that I get most of the nitty gritty. Choosing the right competitors, knowing that you will have a right now competitor, which is kind of like maybe my lateral competitors, and then you need to see like, okay, then who's my next level competitor? Because when I write a business plan, I don't want to just write it that it's going to be for this year. I want to write it, with the projections of what the market is doing and also what you potentially could do, with your business.
Okay, no, I think that's pretty smart. I think a lot of times people miss out on I think just that component of who is my target customer? What's my market? And then really taking it a step further, it's like, who am I competing with? No one really ever thinks about who they're competing with, and I think that's important. You want to be able to safeguard yourself from that. Have you seen any instances where that was missed in a business? Do you have any examples or stories where you feel like maybe they missed the mark and you kind of saw it? Like, what are your observations from it, or what were your learnings from it?
Yeah, I have seen it before that sometimes people have a vision that's so big that they only see their vision and they see a glimpse of the competition, but they're like, oh, I'm not worried about that. Or you have the people that's like, oh, there ain't no competition, sis. Like, no. But you have to understand as a business, even if like your morals and your core values are like, you're not, you're collaborating, you're not competing, you still have to know your business. You are competing. If with whomever is also providing the solution that you're providing.
Right. No, true that. True that. So what advice would you give a struggling business that's like they can't get any customers? Like they're having a hard time attracting new business. What are some things that you would tell a business to be able to turn that around?
So back all the way up, start from ground zero and give yourself 90 days of a habit. So whatever the marketing plan would be for that, this in this scenario, let's say they're not getting sales. Is that what you said? I think we
Yeah.
kind of were drawing up a scenario here. So I would say we want to determine what is the behavior like right now, and then we're going to change that. 90 days will tell you, do I need to post more? Do I need to email more? Is there something that my competitors are doing that's warming the audience up that I'm not doing that could warm the audience up? But it's really like looking at the behavior and then the results of that behavior, because then we'll know what's not working and then what we can try. And I think I preach, I'm like, don't tell me anything for 90 days. Like, I don't want to hear, it's kind of like that. Like, if it's the stock market or something that you're looking at long term, even though 90 days is like short term in business, when you're struggling, you want to look at something for at least a quarter, right? 90 days, let's figure this out. What does this look like? What's working, what's not working?
Okay. All right. No, that's very solid. You're doing a great job fielding all of these questions. You don't seem like a person who maybe have not done this before. I think you're doing pretty well. So I guess just okay, backtracking a little bit, I'm kind of deviate from the next question I have for you. When you were in high school or in like, did you go to college maybe? Yeah,
I did.
yeah, yeah. And so talk to me about the things that you did at those levels, because I do have a younger audience as well. I do a lot of stuff with college age kids and seniors and juniors in high school. And when I try to talk to them about their behaviors now, their habits in that they can, they don't necessarily define them, but definitely if they learn to get those things together, it'll help mold their future quicker. Can you recall of any things that you experienced at that, whether the collegiate level or towards the latter part of high school, that pours into who you are now? Any experiences, any things that you did, any like organizations you were a part of that you feel? And I'm sorry, this is putting you on the spot for real, but I just want to kind of let's get a little bit more, I guess, personal into you and who you are and how you how what makes you tick and how you operate.
So when I hear that question and I kind of hear like the background of what you're asking for, it one thing that I always tell adolescents, young adults is like, trust your gut. Like, really trust your gut. I know you're young. I know the brain is still developing. I know you know what I mean? Like, I know all of those things, but in the core of who you are by that time, you should be able to trust yourself. I think when I think about like high school, probably the things that make me tick is kind of beyond that. It would be like, for me, it would be my dad, like Joseph Gaines. Like, I'm from the country, from East Texas, and forever, I just remember him always telling me, you can be anything you desire to be. And my dad passed when I was 10. So imagine like the impact that he had on me. He passed when I was 10. So in my high school, when I graduated, latter part of high school, it was everything was disrupted. I ended up moving from Texas to Colorado. It was very culture shock. Like, it was a lot of things. You can imagine unpacking that, being a 15, 16-year-old girl moving to Colorado from Texas. So I was trying to make my mark in this new high school, meet these new friends, and friends wasn't friending. I'm like, my daddy said I can do whatever I want to do. Like, so I could be who I want to be. When I moved there, I didn't think I would be on the cheer squad. I didn't think I would do anything. I just, let's hit the books and let's get back to Texas. But I ended up like having the time of my life in Colorado just because I gave myself an opportunity to do anything I wanted to do. I started taking college level classes in high school. It was just like such a great experience to feel you can do whatever you want to do. So earlier in the interview, when you were asking me, like, what if they come to you and they're like, I really feel like people can do whatever they want to do, but don't tell me you want to do it if you're not going to do the work. You know what I mean? Like, that's even for myself. I hear my dad say, "Oh, you say you wanted to do this, you want to build that. Are you doing the work?" And when we talk about how we collaborated, we already know Dave and Donnie, they don't take anything. And seeing them and seeing like their whole brand and what they stand for, I love it. It's like, let's move. So I would tell adolescents, trust your gut and move. That's it.
Man, that was powerful. I wonder if I can find another one of those questions. Now, let me quit. No, that was good. No, appreciate that, because I think you speak to, and one of the things that I feel like we need to take more heed to and be more aware of the power that we have in the leadership and development of our households. Like, you just gave a wonderful story about having a strong father that has a strong message, a memorable message. Like, I try to tell my kids the same thing. You can do what it is that you want to do, and you know that you have our support. We're going to try to guide you into the direction that is so invaluable, to be able to have that strong background, strong enough, is for sure, to be able to put that level of will into you, man. So that was incredible. So last thing I want to say, unless you want to, we can definitely extend the conversation forward. But do you have any just financial tips? And I don't know if do you necessarily delve into finances specifically with the client, but when you're talking about a new business owner and how they're managing their funds, what are some just principal financial information or tips that you would give to somebody about the financial side of opening a new business?
So on the finance side, I would say this is where we don't cut corners. If we are not the expert, we are going to invest in the expert. So whether that is partnering with someone who's going to run your bookkeeping services for you, whether that's getting QuickBooks, Rocket Money, using these apps that are available. A lot of them are today, you can get them low cost monthly, right? You just pay whatever. um, so my tip for managing like ongoing is to get a software or to get a bookkeeper or an accountant, someone that can do that if that's not your love language. What I do, like as far as business plans, I do financials and I do financial projections, but I don't like doing day to day finances. So I'm not going to be able to be your bookkeeper. Not that I can't, but that's it. It's going back to that zone of genius and zone of excellence. Like, I just can't operate there because even though I'm good at it, even though it's going to provide what my client needs, it's going to drain me, and I want to keep my energy for the things I enjoy doing.
Man, no, yeah, this is something that I feel, and I'm glad you led with, let's not cut corners here, because I feel like that's one of the things that most businesses cut corners on. That most businesses kind of, you mentioned like, hey, it just gets started. They'll get started, and that'll keep getting pushed off, pushed down the road, and not tended to. So, because that's very important, especially if we want to play a high stakes game, we got to have the paperwork in place, because they're upping their efforts in being able to critique our ways of doing so in the form of an
Mm-hmm.
audit being more blatant.
Right.
But yeah, no, I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I hope that you've feel like you've provided a tremendous amount of value, because I think you have very, very, very rich conversation about starting a business. For those of you out here who missed, I think to her, maybe not her benefit. She just kind of gave up all of the game a little bit in the pod. But I definitely would encourage you, if you want to take yourself to the next level, I would reach out to someone just like Janie, if not her. It sounds like if you have a focus of wanting to try to create your LLC, yeah, if you have a focus of needing consulting or business plan creation, sounds like she's your lady. And do us a favor, can you please tell us all the avenues in which we can connect with you if we want to do business with you?
Sure. So I am Janie Johnson at Real Power Consulting on Instagram, just Power Consulting on Facebook, and my website, www.power-consulting.org. You can get connected with me there. Anyone who just maybe they think they want to work with me, but they're not sure, I have a very short form that they can just tell me what they need, and we can go from there.
Awesome, awesome. Well, there you have it, TPE fam. We have just had another incredible conversation that was geared towards helping you pivot into your next. And so I'm so grateful for having Janie on air with us today. I think she delivered a tremendous amount of value. I know if not for you all, at least I'm walking away with something from this conversation that I think I can apply into my business and help other people, if they need it, steer them towards somebody who I feel like can help them get off the ground and get their affairs in order at minimum when it comes down to their business. Thank you so much for pouring into us today, Janie. We're definitely going to be a much better business men and women because of this. And until next time, TPE family, peace.
Thank you.
Where's my love, my